131. War and Love, Part 3. The dampness of the holding cell gave a slight stink to the air, mold and fungus growing along the wall's edges and up onto the ceiling. Darkness enveloping each and every room, as little plops of water dripping from nearby would echo through the entire dungeon. After a short time, Midnight had awoken from the spell that had been cast on him. Once realization hit him, the adrenaline took over as he bolted upright to his hooves, looking around himself only to see the darkness of the holding cell. He attempted to use his magic, but failed. "Damn it! That must have got a ring on me," he snorted as he looked into a small standing puddle, the light barely shining off the ring that he would see within the reflection of the water. "Guards!" he shouted as he trotted to the door of the cell, a small window opening along it as a guard peeked in. "Yes, sir," he spoke out, looking to the Alicorn. "Are you going to release me, or am I going to have to force my way out of here?" He spoke up as his mane began to grow a deep red. "Sir, I have been advised to keep you here until a plan of action has been made. Your actions have spoken for you, and you will become a danger to all those around you should you attempt a rescue mission on your own. Princess Luna has also advised me to let her know when you have awoken. So please calm yourself, as we summon her to speak with you." He spoke out before closing the small window to the holding cell. Seconds felt like hours within the cell, as Midnight continued to think of ways to get free and to save the mother of his foal. Strategies and plans of attack were all that he could think of. Among these ideas crept the knowledge of shining armor being able to get through his shield and temporarily knock him out. After some time thinking of how he achieved that, realization hit him. "Twilight," he snorted in annoyance. "Little bugger shared my spell list with her brother, huh? Then I'll just have to create a counterspell." He grinned for a moment before the lock on the cell door could be heard unlatching. Then the screech of metal against metal as it slowly swung open. Shining Armor standing at the entrance with his horn glowing. "Are you going to come peacefully, or would you like another nap?" he smirked to the Alicorn. "I prefer option 1, please." Midnight spoke as he walked quietly from the cell, several guards at his side with their horns glowing as well. "Very well then, let's get back upstairs. Luna has a few plans of attack with the Griffin Nation she would like your opinion on." Shining smirked as they all made their way upstairs to the war room. "Those are your best plans of action?" Midnight spoke out in shock at what Luna had just said. "I'm sorry, Midnight, but I've never had to plan a rescue mission or prepare for war against another country." She sighed while looking at him. "Perhaps you have a better idea." Midnight gave a snort, looking around him. The guards still having their horns alight with magic to knock him out again should he attempt a solo mission that could put Celestia in danger. "I do have multiple plans, most of which including me wiping out the entire nation from the face of the planet, but I am guessing you won't go that far, now will you?" "No. War should not have come to that option." Luna sighed again. "What are your other plans, though?" "Well, from the letter we received, I can only assume that they have means to cancel magic usage through some means. Griffins don't use magic like unicorns or alicorns, and to nullify alicorn magic, they must have something to stop it." Midnight rubbed his chin in thought, while looking over a large map on the table in front of him, showing the Griffin Nation. "Griffins are known for their talents in creating magical items. I would take a guess that they have created some type of device or item that would either suck the magic from around it or cancel any and all magic spells within a distance of it. As I can still sense my sister's magic, I would guess it would be the latter choice." Luna hummed to herself, but stopped when she noticed Midnight looking oddly at her. "Midnight? You said you could sense your sister's magic. How can you do that?" he asked, looking a little wide-eyed. "Can you not sense her other's magics as well?" she asked, causing him to shake his head. "That is rather strange. I'll have to show you how to do this, but at a later time, as we're running out of said time in order to save my sister. So please, divulge your plans so that we can proceed," she spoke, finally managing to get Midnight to talk about his plans of action. "Well, Princess, time is almost up, and your sister has not sent a return message. I take it that she will let you die here, then." The Griffin King smirked while pacing back and forth in front of the cell Celestia was being held in. "Knowing my sister, she will come up with a plan of action, to thwart your plans. As for saving me, I believe she will succeed." Celestia smiled, only to get a growl from the Griffin King. "We shall see. I have these little gems placed all over my kingdom. He snickered while placing a talon behind the pendant he wore around his neck. These nullify any and all magic around them for quite some distance. So believe me when I tell you this, your nation will be under my rule in a very short time. He grinned to the powerless Alicorn. I wouldn't worry about your military winning against mine in talon and hoof combat either. I am sure you are aware that my military trains daily, while yours has simply stayed the same over the past eon. You have no chance at winning this war, princess. He began to cackle loudly before a god rushed into the room, carrying a scroll and handing it to the king. As he pulled open the scroll and began to read, his eyes went wide in surprise before replaced with an evil grin as he spoke. It seems your sister has given up an order for your safe return, princess, he snickered. What? This cannot be, she spoke in shock. Here you go, read it for yourself. He laughed as he tossed the scroll into her cell. I will be meeting with her shortly to sign a surrender document, which will give me power over your country. Then I will release you to her, before I kill you and her. He cackled loudly, seeing Celestia's expression of horror as she heard this, then began to read the scroll, as talons hitting a rocky floor could be heard leaving the area outside her cell. Finally, that little shit is gone, came a voice from the scroll, causing Celestia to backpedal in surprise. Sorry, Tia, didn't mean to surprise you like that. The scroll chuckled as it gave a soft flash of light. In its place stood a dark Alicorn. Miss me? Midnight chuckled as Celestia rushed to him to give him a loving nuzzle. After a moment, she pulled away, giving a questioning look. But how did you do that? The Griffin King has some type of device that nullifies magic. You forget, Tia. My magic is not normal. He snickered again. Now, how about we walk out of here and pay the king a visit? He chuckled, seeing Celestia's determined grin. Oh, and one other thing. I know you won't approve, but I'm going to killing him. He spoke as they stepped outside of the cell. Midnight, please do not kill him. Although it is sad that the Griffin King and his predecessors are rather stupid, I do not think that killing him will resolve anything. She sighed, looking to Midnight with a pleading expression. Tia, if he is as stupid as all those before him, I think it's time for some new blood to take command of the nation. He spoke as his horn lit up, his magic surrounding the door as it vanished into thin air, the same happening to the ring around Celestia's horn. I fear that I will be of no use to you to help at this time, Midnight. Celestia sighed, looking away. No worries, you can watch me in action. He grinned as his horn stayed lit while casting several spells onto it. What did you just cast on me? She asked while looking to her to see if anything had changed. My own little shield spells that I just created. They'll block everything for a short time. It also has a buffer to block anything that would normally block magic. He smirked, seeing her grin. So I take it my magic will work now, she smiled as she began to cast the spell to see if it would work. Sure enough, a small orb of light left the tip of her horn as an illumination spell. She gave a devious grin, looking to Midnight before giving him a rough kiss. Midnight stood there in surprise as she broke the kiss. Come on, we have a special surprise in store for that moron. Celestia giggled as she trotted down the hall. Midnight gave a devious grin as he shook himself from his stupor. So, princess, you have agreed to surrender if I let your sister go, without fear of retaliation against the Griffin Nation and surrendering your country to us? The Griffin King smirked as he glared at the Night Princess. I agree to this only to have my sister return to me unharmed. Luna spoke with a sigh. Very well. Then let's get the paperwork taken care of before... King stopped at his tracks as the paper burst into flame in front of him. He gave a snarl while looking around the room. Who did that? He shouted in anger. I did. Midnight spoke up as he suddenly appeared next to Luna, who was smiling. The Griffin King snapped his attention back to Luna, but stopped as he noticed the ominous orange glow of a licking flame attached to the dark. Alicorn standing beside her. He gave another grin as he looked at him. Well now, I heard the rumors, but I didn't think they were true until now. So there is a new Alicorn on this world, he sniggered. And I take it that your other rumors of you training Celestia's military are true as well. Midnight smirked before continuing. I think I'll give you a chance to surrender before I start wreaking havoc across your nation. Midnight smirked, only to get a glare in return. I don't think you understand your predicament. I have the power to stop your magic. None of your spells will work here. He grinned evilly, but stopped as Midnight disappeared from in front of him. Before he could blink, He was met with a wing at his throat and his back to the ground before coughing as he was held to the ground by Midnight. Who said I needed magic to help me? Midnight grinned evilly while looking at the horrified expression of the Griffin King pinned below him. After a moment, the king grinned as he used the talon to swipe across Midnight's face, leaving several deep gashes that began to bleed. Midnight backpedaled into Luna, giving a snort, closing his left eye as blood began to cover it. The Griffin King got to his feet, giving a smirk. Not very good in talon to hoof combat, are we? He grinned, but stopped as Midnight's horn began to glow, a green aura surrounding the gashes and healing them back to normal before the blood disappeared from sight as well. The king stood there horrified once again, before bringing up the pendant that he wore around his neck and looking at it. Then to Midnight's horns that was alight with magic. Impossible! He shouted as he attempted to bolt, but seized up as the spell hit him. Midnight slowly walked around to the king, giving a smirk. I take it that your little pendant there was supposed to stop me, correct? Midnight released part of the seize spell, allowing the griffin to speak and move his head about. He lowered out a growl as he spoke. Yes, and it should be working now. He gave a loud snort, looking up to the alicorn. Anger spread across his face as he glared. I guess I should let you in a little secret then. Midnight chuckled as he lowered his head to the side of the king and spoke softly. I don't use this world's magic. He grinned, pulling away to see the look of horror on the king's face. That, and I can manipulate other forms of magic to work in a non-magical environment. He grinned again while nodding to Luna and Celestia, the king looking back to them as their horns lit up with magic. I'll get you for this! Growled the griffin, still staring at Midnight. I don't think you understand your situation, you little prick! Midnight shouted as he got right into the king's face, giving a snort of annoyance. Midnight, please calm yourself, Celestia spoke up, causing the alicorn to clear his throat and pulling away. Letting female walk all over you? You're a pitiful excuse for a male, the Griffin King cackled to the alicorn. I don't let anyone walk over me. The princess and I have a mutual agreement, and I would advise you to stop trying to anger me. We may understand each other and respect each other's decisions, but that does not keep me from moving forward with my plans in such a case as you actually piss me off. He snorted again, getting into the griffin's face. Midnight? Luna looked to the alicorn, who only glared back. I don't believe you. I believe you're whipped to the point where they are just as weak as they are. He cackled again. You're nothing while in their presence. Midnight was now visibly shaking with anger as his mane began to grow a deep red. Celestia, upon seeing this, began to speak up, but stopped as the griffin was sent reeling across the room by one of Midnight's wing strikes. Midnight, we agreed on keeping him alive, Celestia spoke up. Oh, he'll be alive, all right, but I'll make him beg for death soon enough. Midnight snorted as his horn lit up. A loud snap was heard as the two were teleported away. Well, what now? We must ask with a slight shock. We can use our own magic now, thanks to Midnight. I suggest we wait here for him to return. She sighed, taking a seat. Snap! Midnight and the Griffin King appeared in a wide-open meadow on the outskirts of the city. The Griffin King shook his head to clear the fog and dizziness from the teleport before his eyes focused on the alicorn, standing a few yards from him. After a few seconds, he realized he was no longer under the seize spell and quickly got to his feet, taking a defensive pose. I take it you're wanting a fight. Are you gonna use a big pussy and use your magic to end this quickly or cheat against a non-magic user? He snarled. Oh no, I plan on making this interesting. Midnight grinned as his horn lit up, causing his body to glow. After a few seconds, his form changed into that of Griffin, causing the king to gawk. How about now? I think things will be even for both of us. The king grinned before letting out a loud screech and bolting toward the alicorn turned Griffin. Midnight moved to the side as a talon grazed his face. Not too shabby. I could see the benefit of being half chicken, half pussy, he snickered, causing the king to roar out at the insult and bolting after Midnight once again, only to miss. Your only problem is you're too hot-headed. I am too at times, but right now all that's on my mind is kicking your ass. He snarled back into the king as they both bolted towards each other, taking swipe after swipe, even using their beaks to bite one another. After 10 minutes of fighting, the king had been mangled badly, Midnight suffering quite a few cuts and missing chunks of fur and feathers as well. You'll have to kill me. You know that, don't you? The king spoke out as they began to circle one another again. I know the laws of your country, and as much as I would love to tear you limb from limb, I have an agreement with the princess not to do so. He smirked. I'm only kicking her ass so you know who the stronger one is. He snickered again, seeing the king snarl at him. Letting a female boss you around, eh? You're weak to allow that. I'm not weak for doing so. It's probably the best move I can make. He smirked again as the circle began to grow tighter. How is it smart to listen to a female? He snapped back. Considering she's lived for eons, her accumulated knowledge of that time puts mine to shame. She may be female, but her experiences compared to mine makes the child in her eyes. If I lived for eons, I would be as wise as her, but I can't even hold a candle to her. He smirked, causing the king to gawk. You willingly listen to a female? That is preposterous, he shouted again. You would be wise to take in other suggestions, even that of the opposite sex. Although I don't listen to her every word, that doesn't mean I'm unwilling to listen to and learn from other times she speaks to me. The only reason I didn't listen this time is so I could blow off some steam by kicking your ass. He chuckled before launching at the king and knocking him back again. He brought his talons into a fist, and he began to slug across the face, causing him to squawk out in pain until his body stopped moving. Midnight stepped back as he loosened his talons, placing them back onto the ground, as he watched the bloody pulp in front of him bleed and barely breathe. His body glowed softly for a moment until it returned to his alicorn form. Guess that's enough for now. Midnight smirked as his horn lit up, both of them vanishing into thin air once again. Snap! Midnight appeared back into the room he was previously in, the king laying across the table in a bloody mess. The princesses were standing in the far corner with their horns aglow, as several griffin guards were at the entrance, getting ready to head toward them. Everyone stopped, though, as they looked at the fallen king laying on the table. The king! One of the griffins spoke out, seeing him. He has been defeated? Another spoke in shock. What? What do we do? The third spoke, looking to the others. I would advise you look for a king that'll listen to reason. Midnight spoke as he looked at the three. Or you could always surrender your nation to Equestria. He smirked. Midnight? Luna spoke out, garnering his attention. I know, he sighed. After some negotiations between the princesses and a board of elders, it had come to the point where they all agreed that the country of Griffonia would be best run by a group of individuals of both male and female instead of a king hell-bent on world domination. The three celestial ponies left the country, teleporting back to the castle with haste. Once there, they were greeted by a smiling fool that bounded up to them quickly. Hey there, big guy! Midnight smiled widely, seeing little Starlight, and picking him up, causing him to squeal happily. Celestia came over as well, giving her son a gentle nuzzle, causing him to giggle louder and hugging her snout. Mama's little colt, Celestia giggled. Daddy's too, Midnight smirked. Starlight began as he attempted to form his first word, causing the two alicorns to watch in surprise. Say, Mama, Celestia smiled to the little colt. Mama. He finally spoke again, giggling as Celestia nuzzled him happily before tears streamed down her face. Say, Daddy, Midnight smiled lightly. Dada, Daddy, Starlight spoke out, causing the dark alicorn to almost burst into tears. Mama, Daddy, Starlight smiled as he looked from Celestia to Midnight. The two alicorns smiled as tears streamed to their faces. Although it had been a rough few days for the lot of them, it was all worth it to finally hear their colt's first words.